Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to take our budget mono white aura deck and upgrade it a bit with Marvel superhero. I almost said Marvel rivals, but Marvel superheroes. With the new set dropping, we get a lot of cool creatures. I saw this list kind of on Untapped. We changed it a little bit, not much. We wanted to kind of try it out generically. And the main things we're adding to this deck are the Captain Americas. This is a nice 3/1 flying first strike ward 1. Whenever it attacks, it pumps other heroes. We get to do a very sweet trick with this with the Agent Phil as well. So basically what we ended up doing is we attack with both of these. This trigger to pump all of our creatures on the stack. We activate the agent, pumping this toughness 1 more, which then puts more power across our board. So a cool little trick there that we get to do throughout the video. Then Captain America Super Soldier. This card, I will admit I messed up and didn't read first strike on it the very first time I blocked this creature, and you'll see our opponent maybe missed that as well. But Captain America enters with a shield counter on him from Kaldheim, I think, is when that mechanic kind of got introduced. Could be wrong about that, but takes damage. This removes the shield counter. If it were to be destroyed, removes the shield counter. As long as Captain America has a shield counter on it, you and other heroes you control have hexproof, which is a good way to protect this. And we're playing Origins of the Avenger instead of with Origins of Spider-Man. I will be saying just Origins throughout the video, and I'm most of the time referring to this one. But when this enters Scry 2, you may put a hero with mana value 3 or less from your hand onto the battlefield and then put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So it works really well to kind of help cheat in our creatures a bit early so we can play our auras a bit after. And then we're playing Jennifer Walters. This says our opponent can't cast spells during our turn. Very nice. All said and done, let's just go ahead and dive into the games and really let the deck explain itself, as we do perform pretty well with it today overall. So let's go ahead and play. Man, having no creatures really, but this is a pretty okay hand. That's why it's okay. Team Rip is gonna be good. Really need to hit one more land, even if we do nothing this turn, because unfortunately we're probably gonna see a Badger Mole Cup come in. Might. Okay, I weirdly feel like I know what I'm playing against. Although this is a good card because we get to just put the hero in for free. I'll bottom all those because I just want a little bit of mana. But you may put a hero card with mana value 3 or less from your hand on the battlefield if you don't draw a card. And we obviously have that hero in play. So hopefully Origins of the Avengers stays around. Take a little bit of a bonk. Nice, sure. Little part of me wants to just play this, but I could Shelter by Ghost here. Then we're looking to Ethereal Armor. Our creature has first strike, so it's just a very hard creature to interact with. So let's take this away. Because this can flip and then become a big problem as 6/6. It has a shield counter on it, so the first time it gets popped, it'll be fine. And then next time will be okay. It'll get a 1/1 counter. I wasn't a huge fan of putting this away, but you have to remember that this would have been our draw over this, so it would have felt much worse, obviously. So, unfortunately, I would have liked this. Like this, but just the way our hands kind of curved out, it's just been a bit weird. We'll be able to Ethereal Armor, get in there for quite a lot. This will go away, but it'll basically put a 1/1 counter on it, which is be the same, and then it'll be a +3 here, putting us to a 7. Oh no, 8, right? Because it would be in theory 4-ish. Because again, this is going to put a counter on it and we're going to pass, but maybe our opponent's just here. I don't know. Oh, they're here. It's actually in the tank. They don't know what to do. Sure. Double strike. I'm just taking 8. Because then this would go away. I just have no reason otherwise to do that. Isn't a hero. So I can just ethereal armor here, or I can just shelter, take their last option away, then make this creature basically unremovable. Board here, and has a shield counter. If we hit them, we gain most of that life back that we just took on the 8. So there's really no threat of us losing to that. Now I just ethereal armor, right? Or I can just do this. I almost just want an ethereal armor. I can't play this because this is only hero. Yeah. Or I just do this and set up an attack. Land. Mana. It allows me to set up a scavenger into ethereal armor. And obviously this wants me to put in this, but I'm not going to do that. Because they are a legendary creature. Oh, don't want to lose our good boy here. Again, this does have ward 4 on it, so it's not like a fight spell being able to be paid for plus another fight spell is going to get there on a later turn. And obviously we know we have ethereal armor to pounce through this. There's just not a lot our opponent can do. They're limited on mana. There's no Badgermole Cup or Boroid. It's kind of just not going to be enough. Once we put this ethereal armor on, or Boroid grows indefinitely, but they don't have any life gain, so they're going to have to block, which means the power is going to shrink incredibly fast. A decline. Take a draw. We hit a seam rep, which is incredibly good. We can eliminate Boroid by not even threatening to remove it, so meant to put ethereal armor on, but put a counter here. Meant to play ethereal armor, not this, but and attack here on the 1. There's no reason for them to block. I basically wanted to force them to block, but I'm dumb and played this. I was supposed to seam rip and then ethereal armor onto this, and then obviously it'd be way larger than the 1 counter that this put on it. So a little bit of a mistake, but with our scavenger in play, I guess we can end it kind of regardless this turn, even if they do play multiple things. They get to 29. I doubt it. Put a counter, double strike. Again, this is a massive creature. This sucks because I'd like to have cleared the board, not done that. Here's the thing. They have to answer both of these, right? It says first strike and we'll get through regardless. Let's just make sure this is big enough to win the combat as well. I want more life. But I answer both. And honestly, we just hold in case some random fear of a board wipe. No, this does have the ward. There's really nothing they can do, yeah. Getting their last cast in for maybe a challenge or 2, but we run that game over. And we could have probably made it a turn quicker, but turns out they had another creature to play anyway that could have blocked here, so it kind of worked out weirdly, where they just took all the damage and then 1 damage was good enough to get through, but we'll take that. Immediately the opposite hand of what we just experienced. I'm on to play. I'll maul. I can have better hands on maul here. Yeah, we'll keep. Play here weirdly first. And I'll let a land go. I think it's supposed to be play here. I understand playing here is good. And then I can play like here and then yeah, let's do this, I guess. Now we're digging for a shelter if we can. That land's gonna be good. Because I can play this hero and just cast this, and then I have 6 strike damage. It's a little weird to have that much first strike damage against mono green. Yeah. A weird situation. Again, 6 first strike damage. So this can go up to 5. I don't know. We'll see. I get blown out here. I get blown out here. They can put it to 6 with like a protection spell. Okay, they didn't read our cards. Very nice. We'll take that. I want it to be known, I was also in their shoe in like the last video, because I definitely read this card twice. Just skipped over the first strike and then threw my creature in and it died. So I'm not above the law here. I definitely did the same thing, but we'll take that. Very funny. Contribution of our opening hands have been a little less than desirable. I feel like I've mulled every opener. Man, bro, I have to keep these cards. I guess it's just leaning to a shelter, but I cut the last one because I had literally mulled the 4. I think it wasn't even close. Nothing I can do about it. I opened with a 4-lander, which then I mulled, I think, into a 1-lander, and then I pulled again. So yeah, 4. Oh, it's just like, what do I do? All right. Little part of me always wants to do this, but you can't with Shelter by Ghost. On land, so not really a lot I can do about that. It could be a deck playing Get Lost, so we're not necessarily flawless here. You put a counter on a creature draw card once. Activate a map. This could put a counter, this could miss. A lot it could do. And it misses. Okay. Ethereal Armor times 2. I mean, I'm gonna go big pressure early here. I don't really need to overcommit to this other scavenger. It's enough to threaten a block, I think. I think 5 is good enough. I thought otherwise. I just want this creature to be good enough to block while also being a counter threat if my opponent doesn't quite do anything. I'll patch. Give me a block here. You do not. Okay. So a shelter is weird because they're going to get a counter and they're going to draw. Maybe I do this the opposite way and just put Ethereal Armor on the scavenger, even them out. And then play a shelter post. Because, like, let's be honest, I'm not getting through this regardless. They have first strike, so it's not like there's anything they can really do. Here. That's a chump with something at some point. Okay. How much do I want to protect this? They have enough mana to pay for 1 ward, and sure they'll get to draw a card, but I don't know if they can just... Gonna put a counter and they'll get to draw a card, but it's only once per turn, so those get a little bit larger for me to kind of develop here. I just think making this huge. I guess a land seam rip still gets it, huh? I don't know if many people are playing that. I find myself playing seam rips and a lot of times wanting to cut them, but sometimes they're just good enough to get the job done. You don't have to keep. So with that, we'll move on. I don't want to throw this away because of my lands, because of how awkward my openers have been. I'm on to play. My hand's kind of weak, but we'll try. This is a lot of 1-drops. I'm just hoping to maybe rip a hero or 2. Hey, honestly, that enchantment that scries 2 and puts a hero into play would be pretty sweet. Another land is pretty tragic, to be quite honest. Nothing there, which is good. It seems like these seam rips are dead, and I think I'm gonna lose my opener. Okay. Oh. It's just like play 22 lands, by the way. I always feel like when I flood a bit like this, you almost want to not overstate it. You don't want it to be like annoying, but at the same time, it's kind of like, dude, what is up, bro? Oh, I'm gonna get to exile some cards here. Like, they discard nothing? You have to discard the hand side. Or they discard here. They have to discard the hand side, right? Yeah. You just discarded 2 and the 2 you wanted. Although they're playing what seems like a cool deck at least. Let's go here. Team Rip can hit this, so I'm not that worried about it. Alright. Let's Ethereal Armor. I want to put a little bit of pressure on combat. We're not going to play another one. We're going to play this. Then I want to take away their only card they can cast again. Then I'll play Captain America. Honestly, probably could have put Ethereal Armor on this to make their bounce spells cost 1 more. But, okay. Oh, wait, it becomes a... I never get to answer this. That's right. Because it becomes a land. Just waiting. I'll activate this later. Get your best cards away. Pass. Okay. My creatures are already in play, so their counter magic isn't necessarily that good. They want bounce spells, is obviously what they want. I don't have a way to deal with Hydro Man, but Hydro Man can also not block. And their graveyard is getting worse. This state would have been a pretty cool card to cast here. Huh? Hydro Man is just such a weird card. This card I feel like has to be good in Commander. It's like, who's really going to remove that guy? You know what I'm saying? Huh. They can't seem rip that. Here. They have what? 2 mana plus a reducer here. Combat. So many lands, by the way, and a dead card. It's just so tough. But I'm weirdly winning, so it's kind of hard to be, like, upset about it. I don't get away with this, right? Update, I got away with it. Sorcery, instant sorcery. So if they have a flow state, we want to take the instant away. Okay. I'll play Scavenger here. A Spider Sense my exile, which would have grown this, so it totally makes sense. But right now, every creature on my board is lethal because of this. Weirdly, the lands have come up clutch in order of activating the Air Temple. Which is like, if you were going to flood, having an Air Temple is about the only time that you're like okay with it. Sorry, I keep saying like a lot, but gotta take advice from what's his name, NA, I think. They play Aetherize. Going to crash. Sure. They have to pay the 1 here. Two crabs. So many crabs. Sure. It's up tapped, which is nice. So again, we take the instant away. We try. I play here. I'm not even gonna seam rip anything. I just want to make my cap flying. I just don't think they have a card that seam rip ever targets. Cards. Flow state still works. I really just need to be able to block Hydra Man. Although, realistically, we're probably getting... Here, they discarded 2 instead of a creature. Now the ward's too much. They also don't have this guy in play anymore, so the reduction's not even there. So obviously, they can threaten lethal by attacking here and seeing if I block. They have the bounce. Play this block. They had the bounce spell. They could pay 1, pay the ward, put this back in hand, and hit me for 15. It would have done it. Yeah, it doesn't quite do it. Yeah. GG's. Jeez. A tough one. No bounce spell from them is really brutal. That should be a game we never win, and they never lose, it feels like, but I think that just comes down to when you're kind of on a like a non-meta pile, or a non, I don't want to say optimized, because this could be as optimized as it could be, right? It's not necessarily that, but a pile that sometimes can also stumble, where if we were against Sultai Reanimator, there's no way we probably win that game, right? But because it was mono blue, and they end up finding all their counter spells after we already just played a couple creatures. We played this and played this, no counter spell came through, and then we just attacked with them every single turn, and we end up getting there. All right, seems pretty good here so far, right? A hand that looks like it might curve well. You know, a different experience than the last game. Then we just only draw lands again, and then we're stuck. This only looks at lands, and then we still draw them. That's what's actually really good about this, is scrying away some of the flooding that you might run into. Here, we're obviously only looking for heroes. Origins is good, but I think with Origins of Spider-Man, Origin of the Avengers. Wow, creative naming, if you would. But we're really only looking for heroes here, in my opinion. Sultai Reanimator. So we're in the exact boat we just talked about, where our Reanimator opponent could do stuff. That gets answered, which is pretty brutal. We're gonna put in this. Pretty nice. Play here. It has ward. They only removed. At least I assume. It could be Sultai Control, I guess. We could play this to start putting its counters up, which honestly might matter more, but I think I want to get value off this. We can put it in anyway. I don't want either of these. I am a little afraid to do this, because now this is most likely probably a lamp. But it is what it is. We can cheat this into play before the second ability resolves. Sure. Arden is probably the card of choice to bring back, so realistically we want to wait. Put a hero, put a counter. Honestly, do I even want to put a hero? I do, because I kind of want the counter on that hero. But I also don't, because I think drawing a card here and losing one counter is actually better. A decline. Brutal. Brutal look. I think it just overall works out better. We hold the Shelter by Ghost in case our opponent does just jam an Ardent. Although we do have pretty close to lead. How much X were X Captain America's off? Just needed to not be a bringer. Okay. The thing is Formidable Speaker doesn't really get the block here for free because it gets popped by this. Nice. We get Superior Spider-Man. Probably play land now. Thing about this is this cannot target Captain America. I guess it could if they play another land, right? To the ward one. Yeah, that's why this has a shield counter on it. Other heroes have hexproof that actually works incredibly well. But now we go to combat. I thought I missed lethal for a second, which maybe I did. I think I actually did. So I have 11, 12, and this, 34. I missed lethal. Wow. Okay. Well, a thing to note for us that we did win this game. Oopsie. I just wasn't ready for the extra little pump there. Oh my gosh. Wait. I so missed lethal. Hold on. So this is a 1/1 counter. So the thing is, when we go to combat and attack here, right? Here's a super sweet thing. We go to combat here, right? This trigger we can activate in response to this pumping everything. And then when that pumps everything, or we activate this before this pumps everything, and then that puts even additional 1/1 counters on everything. Or 1/1 for toughness reasons. This is probably not going to be enough. I have a shield counter, so they can only target one thing, and that's Captain America. And Ouroboros, I guess. Sure. See how this got larger on its toughness? Sure, deal. I had enough at 14 before. I have enough now. Crazy attack. Alright, hopefully I can show it here. My opponent gave me another chance. So let's go full control mode here. Let's activate. Well, we don't really need to do that when we get to combat, actually. Let's go here. Absorb this. So now we go to combat. Go full control mode here. Attack. Trigger on the stack. We now activate this, which puts a 1/1 counter on this. So it puts its toughness to 5, which pumps us 1 additional more damage. So we immediately crush over for way more. So that was what I missed turn prior. Just that small interaction. That's a thing as you get more experience with your deck. You're going to be able to catch way easier, and something maybe your opponent doesn't see. I think our opponent doesn't see that when they attack. They see they probably look at it and they go, okay, well, it's going to be that. It's going to be a little bit short. And then I have an Arden online and everything's good, right? But we obviously had the Shelter to take that away and win the game out. Obviously, this could have gone way worse for us. We all know on turn 4, most of the time, they're bringing back the main card of the deck. I said it earlier, and now I can't remember. The Bringer, whatever his name is. Bring it back, wipe our board, and call it a day. Like, we just lose, but we win, and that's all we can ask for. So when we lose next time, it's a 50-50 draw. And starting a curve. Very nice. We'll keep here. Shelter's pretty good. Most likely, I feel like a removal spell's coming, so let's play our Survivor. This isn't necessarily as cool, but we want things to interact. Ooh. Second Shelter is pretty fire, to be honest. That means we can invest in a Survivor and be okay. If I remember right, this is a Fling deck. So even if they do answer the Survivor, we are much happier just popping them for 3, calling it a day, exiling nothing, of course. So they can play land, they can burst lightning this, get their thing back, takes their whole turn, then we go scavenger shelter and really just pray for them not to have another one. Or we could go Captain America, of course, and maybe work around it that way. Captain America having first strike and this maybe having double strike makes things a bit awkward. They go challenger here. Okay. I think I'm going to make the survivor unremovable. And what better way to do that? I think I go scavenger into shelter first. Go human. Captain America is going to come in after all this. Ember Heart sucks to deal with, but this can deal a lot of damage, although I'm just not sure. I'm going to protect this. I have to do it now, I think. Take the hard creature to remove away. Even though this gives them more value, that one having menace and then gaining double strike is so much more threatening. In my mind, anyway. This only has 2 toughness. It is a very vulnerable creature. But it does have ward 4. So, likelihood of them ever being able to target it is not great. First lightning, we'll say goodbye to the scavenger. Most likely. Then we are Captain America into a seam rip into hitting them 5 again. First lightning goes upstairs. I'd be genuinely shocked. I have way too much life for that to ever kind of matter right now. Ancestral Anger being legal again is kind of absurd. This card, an absolute menace back when it was in standard about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. Ancestral Anger is a good card. I think it draws, right? Yeah, for each one and then draw a card. Just so clean. Go here. Play this right away. Hexproof. Protect that a little bit. Team rip. Take the last threat away. Chunk their life total. They have no more threats, so we end up winning the game. Very cool. Even if they do, it's just going to get really hard to answer my board. Recently, it gets hard over time. But we do have lethal next turn because of this and this. So, it's pretty good. Pretty good. We'll take that. All right. To talk about the list real quick. I made the outro already, but it was like 8 minutes. So, I don't want it to be that long. I was breaking down pretty much every card. A card I wouldn't craft right away is this one. I never played it in any games, and I kind of never wanted it in any game. It just feels weird. For one, you get your creature bounced. It goes back their turn. Their creature gets to swing before yours, so they can hit you for 5, and there's nothing you can do. It's also indestructible. The idea really is to play this and then Shelter by Ghost, exiling it, or seam ripping it and taking it away. I kind of trim on seam rips a lot because they can be so bad and clunky in the opening hand. I use these as +1 counters in a game prior to this. And I think if we cut this, we're not forced to play seam rips, and maybe we can just play a couple barrel cards like Get Lost that we can play and just answer about anything, or an Erode or something like that, just so we can clear stuff out of the way that we absolutely need to, where seam rip can sometimes miss. But it is nice to have that, obviously, for Ethereal Armor. Other than that, I was pretty impressed with how the deck played. I was a little nervous overall, just because it is kind of a lot to say, hey, we just talked about mono white budget. Well, here's a non-budget variation. Is it even better? Who knows? And I think they both have their charm, right? The mono white is just so low to the ground that if you're on the play, you feel like you're automatically going to win, where playing a little bit higher end on this side, you can definitely get a little punished, because you could just have 2 of these and then draw 1 of these, and now your whole hand's 3 drops, and you have a very few amount of 2 drops. As you can see, our 1 drops are also really low at their over there, very low in comparison to our 2 drops, but it just ended up working out because I think Origins helps us a lot. Being able to play one of these for free, we're able to keep a 2-lander in this, even if we do have a 3 mana guy, because you play this, most likely it's never getting answered. You'll scry 2 and you can help fix your deck at that point, or fix your top deck anyway, and then play one of these for free, and then have kind of the good cards to go with it. I do think I want to play the protection spell still, even though these are awkward. I think we have so much awkward ward in our deck, being ward 2, ward 1, ward 2. that I think just having that protection spell on top of it, being able to blow out your opponent on a weird play, plus it gives a +1/+1, would be better oftentimes than, say, this or even these. So I think I'm going to pivot to that in this deck. But I think these Captain Americas, it's so weird that they're all named the same. So Origins of Spider-Man, Origins of the Avengers, Captain America, Captain America. So I'm sorry if I just say Captain America, but whatever I'm highlighting is what I'm talking about. This card definitely feels worth it. This one feels a little less in terms of crafting because of the 1 toughness and 1 ward. There's a lot of 1 mana deal 2 damage burn spells that they'll spend an extra mana to answer this because that mana exchange is so good for them. They use 2 mana to answer your 3 mana, and then if you have stuff on it, you know, it's still vulnerable, right? But the other thing is, this card does have good top end against, for example, mono green, where you can just pump everything and it'll just work out anyway, because they're not really going to be able to remove this stat cleanly. Overall, the deck played well. The deck is good. I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't craft these if I don't have them. The final note is on Jennifer Walters. You want to play her, but if you do not have her, play Voice of Victory. She is Mythics. So if you want to try it out, Voice of Victory is just as good to some extent. If we flood and flip this, this is a much better card in general for this type of deck. But I think either or, 1 and 1, doesn't really matter. Split them, don't split them, whatnot. I think this Captain America is worth crafting in general. Origins, I think, will only really be played in a deck like this, so be careful if you don't really want to play them. Maybe play more of these if you already have them. And then, obviously, Captain America here, you could try just to whatever, but this card right here I probably wouldn't play in general. If I didn't have them already, I probably would not have crafted them. But with that said, I hope you all enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.